Here we are once again, another exciting episode of Customizing the Clone Wars. This is episode 9, and I am your host, Peak Obi-Wan, Customizer. Along with me, I have Darth Daddy. He is also a customizer. How you doing tonight, man?
Doing okay. Looking forward to tonight's episode of Hidden Enemy.
Yeah, for sure. We are doing one episode tonight, folks. This is the Hidden Enemy, and like we've said in the past, we are doing it in the order in which they came out on season 1. But we definitely encourage you with this one in particular to watch them in the order that they were meant to appear. Have you ever done that before?
Oh yeah, I've actually I definitely did it once all the way through, and now I find when we watch the Clone Wars, we kind of just pick whatever episode we're in the mood for that day. And but I remember, I think it was when the episode guide first came out, we kind of committed ourselves to working our way through the chronological order, and I kind of it's my preferred way to watch it, I believe.
Yeah, this one, like I said, this one is great because it is a portion of the Christophsis arc, and that part of it is connected to the movie as well as the very first episode. And do you know what the actual first episode is?
Oh, is it the one with Trench?
Yes, it's called Cat and Mouse. So we encourage you, if you have Netflix, you can certainly roll through there, or if you even have the DVDs, just check it out. You watch Cat and Mouse, and that's the actual first episode, and then you watch Hidden Enemy, this episode that we're going to be talking about tonight, and then you watch the movie, and it meshes so perfectly, and it's great. So let's get into it.
Actually, pre-Ahsoka, this episode.
What's that?
This takes place before Anakin gets Ahsoka as a Padawan.
That's right. Yeah. So does Cat and Mouse. You know, pre the Padawan, that whole conversation. And so I will start by reading our little blip from the episode guide. It says, after barely escaping a separatist ambush on Christophsis, Jedi Knight Anakin and Obi-Wan realize a traitor is leaking the Republic's plans to their enemies. Commander Cody and Captain Rex investigate and come to the disturbing realization that the traitor is one of their fellow clone troopers. How do they outthink an adversary who is identical to them? Yeah, so here we are again, just like for Argaius, Argaius from the episode Cloak of Darkness, where you have people being bought out by the separatists, and now we actually have a clone trooper being bought out, and he sells them out, and they have.
Yeah, I actually watched the StarWars.com.
Mm-hmm.
Even like today, I actually went on, and they still have all the featurettes associated with each of the individual episodes.
Right.
And it was only like 2.5 minutes, and it was a short featurette that they did for this episode. And in it, Dave Filoni explains that you can't think of the clones as being cookie cutter. He said that, the way that the clone troopers are produced, some of them tend to have different traits. And, what he explained was Slick, who ended up being the traitor in this episode, he felt represented more of the Jango Fett side.
Right, called it Going Jango, right?
Yeah, and he was
Jango.
yeah, basically he was like he some of Jango's more aggressive traits were more dominant in this particular clone.
Sure.
And he said that that's basically how it's going to be with the clones. So it even sets a precedent where, yeah, they may be clones, but they're all little, they're all different. They are all unique in their own way, and that was kind of interesting.
That
That
helps in the
they
end
set
too,
the
doesn't
tone
it?
right off the bat.
Yeah, it helps in the end too, doesn't it? Later on in the story of the Clone Wars with Fives,
Yeah.
Fives figures it out. He figures out the whole mystery.
Yep.
It's actually a clone, and we'll talk about that later, way later on down the road. If you haven't been with us yet, we do a custom show talking about the Clone Wars, and we do it episode by episode, and we share our customs along the way. I have a few tonight that I'm going to share. So let's get into this episode, and I will start with the fortune cookie. And here it is. It says, truth enlightens the mind, but won't always bring happiness to your heart. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's ignorance is bliss. That's what it makes me think of.
Yeah, I just don't understand how a clone could actually want to, sell them out, because so many of them, die. It's
Especially
just
so early in what you would think. I always thought it was, Ahsoka jumping in at the beginning of the Clone Wars, and this is pre-Ahsoka. Ahsoka's alive, but she's not even a Padawan yet. And to see clones selling out their own so early in the conflict is pretty eye-opening. It kind of shows that Kaminoans had a little refining to do in their process.
Of course. So here we are on Christophsis. Check these guys out, Oompa Loompas. Or something.
Yeah, right.
Their outfits are so strange, man. But they're neat. They're neat for sure.
They are. I never really noticed them until I started prepping for this episode. And as I was prepping, I'm like, wow, those guys are kind of interesting. I wouldn't mind making one of those, because it's something, you never really see.
Yeah, you only see them in those episodes that I was referring to, the connector episodes. And I think Killian Plunkett on that on the featurette that you were talking about, he was saying that it's a prequel of a prequel of a prequel. So
yeah.
So it's kind of a lot of connecting the dots and whatnot. So here we have these guys, and they're trying to fight off this, the battle droids, and they can't figure it out. So they call in the Jedi and the clone troopers, and here we are. This is actually the first time we're seeing Captain Rex, if you do play it in that order, because we see him in the movie, but this is actually the first time we see him, and Anakin's like, I got some guys over here, and he kind of has a little devious smile, after Anakin says something. So that's going to lead me right into my first custom. Do you recall the when we got the Stone, the Commander Stone clone trooper from, from that notorious wave we're constantly talking about?
Oh, the one that just got found.
Yeah.
I guess somebody found it in the wild. I forget what country it was. It was on Jedi Temple Archives, but
the Sidious, right? The Sidious.
Yeah, and he found a Sidious for like $20 or something. $20, it would be equivalent to US $20, but it was at retail, and they said that they had several boxes at this chain of this, I guess, this particular wave, which, man, I wish they were floating around the US.
Floating around the US, right? But that Stone that I'm referring to, he looked different. They did a brand new sculpt of the clone trooper armor, if you will. What did you think of that? Did you like that better or less than the original one, because it had less articulation?
I prefer the more articulated figures always.
Sure.
I like when they had that, the articulating wrist, especially.
Right.
That ball jointed wrist, I keep that forever.
Yeah.
In my book.
So when that first came out, even though it did have less articulation, I thought, aesthetically, it looked kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? The armor looked not more accurate, but it looked a little bit more dynamic. So I decided I was going to get a couple of those bodies and actually make some of the troopers that exist only on that body type. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my first one that I have for us tonight is a Captain Rex. So there he is. And what I did is I just, like I said, I utilized that new body. So it has, kind of the holsters are separate from the comma. And I really beat up that comma, but this was actually before they made that really awesome one. I guess they referred to him as Jetpack Rex or something. Yeah, super Jetpack Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think of that?
That looks great. What head is that? What head is that?
It is the stone head. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I utilized every aspect of this. Yeah, of the stone. I used all of the stone parts except for
that's
the
pretty cool. I don't think I ever saw this version of your Rex.
Yeah, I did him back in 2010. Believe it or not, I just snapped some new pictures. He's just been sitting on the shelf. So what I did is I applied a lot of little features that are unique to this character. Like I applied a antenna that actually moves. It can come down like Boba Fett's does.
Oh wow!
And then he has articulated joints in there. I used an ARF trooper at the time, but with this plastic comma, it really
restricts it.
Yeah, it really restricts it. And this was just at the time. Like I said, I thought that the aesthetics of this armor was really nice. So that's why I did it. And I also will show a Rex, or not a Rex, but a Cody shortly, utilizing the same body type. And eventually we got more of that body type. So so there you go. So here we are, back with the episode. Do you remember how we constantly talk about little weird Easter eggs and stuff and unfinished animations and whatnot? Are you seeing this picture? What is odd about this picture? Do you notice it right off the bat? If you don't notice it,
helmet? Yes,
it's right in the center. Commander Cody, for some reason, is carrying around just a regular clone trooper helmet. It's like, what?
Yeah,
like
it's not even painted.
Yeah, they did this also in the theatrical release where they didn't have the visor on his helmet, but it actually had the paint stripe going down the front of it. Yeah, it was really strange, and I often wonder, should I just make a kind of a stand-in, for all these little mistakes and whatnot that they do. But we'll move it on here. This is them, and they're getting ready for their first battle. And they come to find out that the army is coming their way. And here's the Cody I was referring to. This goes into our next custom. I think I've shown this before. I showed this. Yeah. So it's the same type of thing where it has the articulated pelvis. You'll find that I say full range of motion quite a bit. That's one of my favorite lines, full range of motion. You don't necessarily have to have a million pieces of articulation, but I know both of us really like articulation.
On the troopers, it's especially nice.
Yeah, right.
If you're an army builder too, or a diorama builder, just to have that, just to kind of have everybody posed different ways, during battle and stuff. And it's unfortunately not something you can get out of 5 POA figures, really.
Right. They kind of look like statues. I hate to say it.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I would venture to say, though, I mean, there's a dilemma with the 5 POA. Would you prefer to go back to like a saga type of thing where they're more posed, opposed to standing at attention?
I mean, honestly, I have no interest in the line when it's not articulated.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I think we lost a lot when we lost the articulation, for sure.
especially as artists. You know,
Yeah. Well, customizers lost everything.
I feel, you know, more. I feel like photo novelists and diorama builders
Right.
even lost more than we did,
Hmm.
because I mean, some of them are customizers, others weren't, and now they were required to like pick up an additional skill. Like with us, we already have that skill. We can go in and we can customize something,
Right.
and you know, we can get the job done because we know how to do it.
Sure.
Where maybe a photo novelist, they're more a storyteller. You know, they establish scenes, and maybe some of them are more diorama builders, and they use the figures to like animate their scenes and to create their stories. And they got hit the hardest, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so sad, so sad. We
It
will
is.
move it on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Action
So,
figure art form is suffering.
yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is. I have no qualms about that. You know, just action figures are dying or something. But here we have one of my favorite pilots. He is called in to basically pick them up on the roof because the battle droids are attacking them, and for some reason they found their position. So this is Hawk. This is Clone Pilot Hawk, and this is going to lead us right into our next custom. I've done two versions of this, but for some reason I cannot find the removable helmet one. So I will show the one I have from the theatrical release. Here he is. And this is just repainting the helmet of Oddball. So all I did was just repaint the deco of the head. And then over time, I've gone to more of like a matchstick type of a head where you can actually remove the helmet and customize and whatnot. So he is the savior of the day. You know, he goes and he picks them up, and there's Anakin doing some theatrics on the
Yeah, it was
wire. Yeah, they're
Anakin
sliding
thinking
down.
outside the box,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had to
which
get
you
over to the
know,
other side, right? Yeah, he's always
yep.
thinking outside the box, for sure. Yeah, so check that out. I would have loved to have had a kind of a tripod cannon done up like this. Um, it looked similar to not so much the Empire Strikes Back one. I know the little energy box does here,
Yeah,
but
in accord.
the gun itself actually looked a little bit more like the gun that came with the Commander clone trooper from the Saga collection, or Saga Blue. God, that's a long time ago, folks. 2004-ish, or no, maybe even before that, but really, really early on. But the gun looks very similar. It has really aggressive handles on the back of it. But I would love to have something like this for your troops. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
maybe one troop came with it, or one character came with it. But anyway, let's move on. So here they're on top of the roof, and they go ahead and they rip the tactical droid's head off. And one of the reasons they do that is so they can find out what the intel was, what the deal was. And this would make a cool custom to, just actually taking a head and putting some wires on it and whatnot, and putting it on that table, and it would utilize the head of a tactical droid. I think it would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. That would be like a good thing to mold and maybe do a cast. So
Right.
it's such a hard to get figure.
Yeah, diorama parts. That would be cool too, don't you think? I mean,
Oh yeah,
little mini diorama parts that you could
you could
buy.
use it again for Blue Shadow Virus.
Oh man, yeah, yeah, that was great too. That's coming up, folks. Blue Shadow Virus, I believe, is next.
Yeah.
So we're on episode 16 right now. So we find out that they were sold out in this episode, and there's those chic
Razors.
razors, yeah, from episode 1, and they find out that one's still on, and this is Rex and Cody. Basically, they realized that somebody was listening to their whole conversation at the time, and meanwhile, Anakin and Obi-Wan went to the hideout of the Separatists to find out what's going on. So they're on a mission themselves. So we have 2 kind of consecutive missions going on. And there they are. They're heading, and they're having like little witty banner. I love it. They always have such great things, to talk about each other and whatnot. Yeah. So here we go. We are back. Check this out. Have you ever made something like that? One of those little controllers, and you see this in several of the episodes. I think they used it in Rookies. What'd you think of that?
It almost looks like 2 Anakin lightsabers on each side.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
that might be a good cheat.
Yeah, like a communication type of thing that you're. Like an iPad of the Star Wars galaxy or something.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So they realize that they have to tell Slick that this person could be a turncoat. So they call in all their troops. You remember that the Hidden Enemy box set? That was actually really cool. Because
I love that set, especially because you get Chopper with that necklace.
Right.
The first Chopper of Star Wars.
Right. The first
Not
Chopper.
The Rebels Chopper.
Yeah. Did you see what's in the background here? I lightened up this image quite a bit.
Is that Padme or just one of her handmaidens?
I think it's just a handmaiden. They were always really clever about making these pinup arts for the troops. You know what I'm saying?
World War II vibe going.
Yeah. So here we have Ventress. There she is, and we rarely see her actually in a cloak, and I just thought it was so cool when she wore the cloak. It brought us back to that early Micro series where she wore the cloak. I know you said you didn't really like that very much, but we see her periodically wearing the cloak in different episodes, and I thought this spawned a really great idea to make a Ventress with a cloak. And if you remember, back with what was the episode that we were talking about Ventress?
I remember you showing a work in progress. Yeah. Was it the Yoda ones?
No, it was the Cloak of Darkness is what it was.
Oh, the one with Ahsoka and Luminara, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I decided to take that Ventress and finish her up. And I thought it'd be a good idea to actually give her a cloak at that point. And that's going to lead me to my next custom. So here she is dropping her cloak and everything. And she always has this like awesome banter with Obi-Wan. I always wanted them to like get together because, he's like, hello again, my darling,
Yeah.
So that'll lead me to my next custom here. And this is that custom that I had previous. And here it is, my full range of motion on the Ventress. And what I did is I utilized different pieces to make her even more super articulated than she already was. And I really enjoyed the character itself. She still commands a premium on the secondary market, but I thought I'd give her that full range of motion. So she has like a G.I. Joe pelvis here, and then I actually gave her Aura Singh arms and kept those witchy kind of fingers, those spindly fingers, that way she, kind of just looks just awesome. And what I did here with the hood is it's a Power of the Force going way back all the way to 1996 with Luke Skywalker Jedi. And what I did was, I have an opportunity to remove the hood, but leave the cape on. So like the cape is a hood down kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Here's a couple different shots. And I didn't paint the face, folks. I'll go back and paint the face later on, but you know, it's always really nice. It's a great figure in itself, but I just thought I'd add just a little more range of motion. So this is my hidden enemy Ventress. I thought I'd post, and this is a first tonight, folks. You're seeing her for the first time.
Yeah, it's the first time I'm seeing it.
Yeah, a couple of these are first times. I have another Obi-Wan that I'd like to share also, that I really enjoy. And there he is. He's like, wow, well, here we are.
And you said you used the Senate guard to actually make the cape, right? The soft goods part of it?
Yeah, that was a vintage collection, Senate guard with the nice blue from the notorious Phantom Menace wave.
From the soft goods on that figure was amazing.
They really were, because there were several.
Very good quality. Yeah.
Yeah, there was the upper robe and then the lower robe as well.
Yeah, it was double layer.
Yeah, I just thought
fabrics were really well made and really nice quality.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is my Ventress, and that brings me to my next custom, and this is an Obi-Wan. You'll say, well, I don't really notice anything different. There's a couple things here.
Well, the head's the spacesuit one, right? That you're using right there?
Yeah. Yeah, I really love that spacesuit head. It's perfect. It's perfect in every way. I think I put this one on the Obi-Wan from the Mandalore stuff, or the Mando Obi-Wan, because I really dig that head. You know, if you look at this picture, his face is so cool, and I don't think they got it right the first time, unfortunately.
That first head they did was kind of chubby too big and fat, and
it's a little too big. Also, I mean, this head fits a little bit better. So I added the wrist articulations, and then of course I added the lightsaber on the belt. I do that for a lot of the Jedis that I have, and whatnot. The only thing this one really needs is the ability to do these splits. I have yet to do that, but this is the one that was out of the. Was this the one that came with the Trespass Snowspeeder, or no?
It did. It was,
or did he come with? He came with something else. Maybe. Yeah. It was just a super nice Obi-Wan.
He came with a lot of things. They released that figure more than once, I think.
Yeah. But I really dig this one because he has that cloth soft good, and then his ankles actually articulate, and the knees, where the previous one did not.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder, you know, what is your opinion on that? If Hasbro ever decided to come back and maybe just give us a few pieces of articulation, would you take that? Would you?
It depends on how many parts they're giving me. I mean, honestly, at this point in time, just due to shelf space, I almost feel like, you know, I do have some Force Awakens stuff. But I really don't even want to continue the collection anymore. I feel like whatever I get is going to be half measures, and I decided just to keep the collection focused towards the George Lucas years, and you know, anything that's going to be going on, you know, going forward, I'm not participating. Just the quality of. Like when I look at the quality of the vehicles compared to previous years and stuff like that, and when you're having difficulty just fitting figures in cockpits and warped guns, warped wings on TIE fighters, it's, you know, putting vehicles in boxes they don't even really fit in. It's when you're in a bad relationship, sometimes it's good to walk away.
Just walk away.
You know, I don't want to be abused anymore. And I'm done.
A lot of awkward things going on with the toys. I just don't think they understood how much emphasis was on the toys.
They were trying to go on a gimmick, I think. That 5 POA was like a gimmick to like try and tap into some nostalgia for older fans. But with kids that grew, like kids like my son who grew up with these incredibly beautiful articulated figures, and they were able to pose with them, you know, in any way they wanted to, and it really enhanced play. They don't want to go backwards. They have, you know, they're like, I got cracked on for my 5 POA figures. You know, he loved my play sets like the Ewok Village and stuff, but he always teased me for having terrible what he felt were terrible 5 POA figures. And when he got them, whoo, that whole kid, we're doing it for kids. That's just a talking point. That's a sales pitch and nothing more, because any kid I met has no interest in 5 POA.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the range of motion is an important aspect. What I remember being 10 years old, and I was playing with my Return of the Jedi figures, and I'm like, I wish the Luke could hold the sword with 2 hands. You know what I would do? I would squeeze the arms together.
Yeah,
and then your arms are loose.
Joints.
Yeah. And you have dangly arms Luke, because you try to, or I'd get a rubber band. Yeah. You know, but at the time, you know, in 1980 something or other, you know, 10 years old, you know, wrapping a rubber band around it, you know, you always wanted that range of motion. I agree with you. Definitely. So we will go back to the episode here, and let's see here. We were talking about my Obi-Wan, and this is kind of a kit bash, if you will. I just kind of cut the neck off right there at that white portion, and just glued it in, and didn't really paint it or anything. I could probably go back and paint the character, give him a little bit more detail, but this is just more of like just kind of a kit bash kind of thing. A little bit more awesome for him, you know, because he is my favorite character, definitely in the show. So I thought
Clone Wars was very good to Obi-Wan for character development.
Oh man,
you know,
he had the best
him
lines.
as a character.
Best lines, best everything. You know, you knew, you felt good knowing that Obi-Wan was always going to come out of it on top. I think that was my enjoyment of the prequels, the prequel era. I always knew it was going to be about this Obi-Wan guy, and he was going to come off unscathed or semi-unscathed, you know, and it made me feel pretty good. So
he didn't really emotionally. I don't think he came out unscathed, though. He really.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
He almost had a rougher time than Anakin in some ways.
Sure. Especially adding all the stuff that happens in the Clone Wars with like Satine, Anakin, and oh boy, yeah, he was just the all-time great character. I wonder if they're going to do an Obi-Wan movie of some sort.
I hope they do. I'm more interested in that than a young Han Solo movie.
Than a young Han Solo, for sure. Yeah, I just don't even know what a young Han Solo is going to be about. They say it's a comedy, and I don't really get that.
Yeah, to me, it might be a poor choice on their part, I think.
Maybe, yeah. He's not, the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I'm not eager to see Harrison Ford be recast.
I think they already have him too. So,
yeah, they do.
Yeah. So we'll get back to the episode here. We're towards the end. Rex and Cody are still kind of searching around, and they bring in all the hidden enemy guys from that awesome toy pack. And I definitely want to get around to this image if you can see it. I'm going to change this so you actually see Gus's wound that he had. He was in the med bay, and he actually got beat up by, got his arm cut or something like that. So I'd like
because when they released them, they didn't have the bandage on the figure.
Right. It was just basically a clone trooper. But the reason that pack was so great, folks, is that it gave us different clone troopers with different looks on their faces, different head sculpts, and they had helmet on, helmet off, and it was just a great pack. They should have done that more often, where they gave us removable helmet clone troopers in packs. Definitely. So we'll move it on, and here's Chopper. This is the guy you were talking about, and he actually looks like he got really beat up at some point.
Oh yeah, it almost looks like burns or like
Yeah.
his skin got melted almost.
I don't think they actually did that, but
Yeah, it wasn't
is.
represented well in the action figure, but he at
Right,
least came with the battle droid finger necklace,
Yeah,
which I thought was awesome.
yeah, that
And
is.
at least you were able to tell who he was from that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and there he is. He's talking about his battle droid figures. He just wants to take something back.
It was funny in the featurette. Dave Filoni said, you know, if Anakin and Obi-Wan were smart, they would maybe circle back and have a second conversation with Chopper about the battle droid fingers.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was like, that really wasn't normal behavior on his part.
Yeah, something wrong with you. There's something deficient about you, I think, is what Slick says.
Yeah,
but he
was basically saying Slick's not the only problem there.
Yeah, right. So here we are back with Ventress and Obi-Wan and Anakin, and they're apparently in some kind of archive room, or they're in a really awesome library, and she pulls off this awesome like Harry Potter magic move and throws books at them with the Force, and they literally stop them in their tracks, flip them around, and throw the book at her, for lack of a better description. And she ends up getting away, only to find out that there is a whole army sitting in the backyard, and they're going to invade. And we actually get to see Worm Losum in this episode. So that's a second time we get to see him, which is cool. He was a great character. I really like that dude. You know,
Yeah,
for making it.
At first, I wasn't crazy about the character design, but it's grown on me.
Yeah.
He was one of those characters that I felt was visually jarring.
Yeah.
In the theatrical release, I was, that I had to like get used to that new style of, the way I was picturing the figures.
Yeah, and TX20 too. We actually see TX20 again, or is that TX20? Maybe not. He's got
the coloring looks right.
Yeah, the coloring
like
the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so she ends up getting away. They end up, Anakin and Obi-Wan just end up going back to the fleet, saying that there's a war coming. The war rages on, and what she does is she gets in this really amazing, that squid-looking ship, and that's when she goes and kidnaps Rada the Hutt from the theatrical release.
Yep.
So that was the last time we see her, and we're back. And Slick is still trying to get away, and they figure out how to outsmart him, but not before they get into a huge fight. And I don't know if you remember this part, but like he snaps his leg, and I'm like, man, Rex is going to be in a cast for the whole rest of the season.
I was thinking that he's probably going to have to spend time at a Bacta tank, but he wasn't even limping after that.
Right, like everything was fine, but oh man, I just thought Rex's leg was done. Because, man.
Yeah, you thought like maybe he ripped the tendons in his knee or something.
Yeah, like he was just a wreck. It just made this like, it was terrible, terrible, terrible. And then right here, I just loved it. This was Cody. This was really one of Cody's best episodes. He does his little Ryu Street Fighter punch. It's amazing. He just does this uppercut. He's just in the air. He's like, I'm waiting for him to go, you can.
Yeah, he's like a good foot off the floor with that punch.
Right. He just sends him flying, and it's awesome. And he's just like, yeah, I'm the man.
And it was all because Slick, they basically figured it out because Slick's kind of slipped, and he was like, when the Jedi get back, and he was like, we didn't even tell you they were gone. So how did you know?
Yeah.
And that's how they figured it out. And the whole time, Slick was trying to isolate the group, from Cody and Rex. He was like, let me talk to him first. And he was, there was little indicators there that it was him because he was trying to isolate. he wanted to kind of mislead the investigation right off the bat and see if he could like kind of throw everything off.
For sure. Yeah. But in the end, he ends up going to the brig and foiled again.
Yeah.
There is the episode. It was awesome. Yeah, but I encourage you guys, definitely check it out in the order that I was referring to. Watch from season 2, watch Cat and Mouse with Admiral Trench, and then watch this episode, Hidden Enemy, and then watch the theatrical release in order. If you could get it with as little like time span between them as possible, it really is lovely. It's really cool. You know, so
I think what's interesting, you really notice now just how big a role Ventress had in this movie. She was like the most prominent villain that we were really getting exposed to in season 1.
Right. Yeah, she was just so awesome. What a great character. And Mika Futterman, oh man, her voice, you know, it was just so cool voicing.
It was so funny. Elias just pointed out to me in Star Wars Rebels, the voice of the Sith Temple is Nika Futterman.
That is awesome. Yeah, I noticed that also. The Twilight of the Apprentice, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was like, that's definitely Mika or Nika Futterman.
Yeah.
Oh man. So there we have it, folks. That is our episode for tonight. Really enjoy being with you guys, showing our customs. And anything else you wanted to add?
No. I'll try and have something for an episode at some point. I didn't have any for Hidden Enemy. You know, whenever you customize, especially when there's over 100 episodes to choose from, you know, sometimes other episodes get more attention than others. But yeah, there's still plenty to come. And thankfully, Chad had a great deal for this episode, so that was good.
We have a long journey ahead of us, don't we? And we got some great customs.
I mean, we've barely made a dent when you think about it.
Yeah. There's a lot coming, folks. A lot coming. Blue Shadow virus next week.
Still, you know, for 2 years.
Or
the amount of
something.
content they gave us, you know.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoy the show, folks. We just love to talk Clone Wars, show customs, and everything else. So my name is Peak Obi-Wan. You can find me on Facebook at Peak Obi-Wan Custom Creations. You can also find me at Clone Wars Custom Action Figures. Where can we find you, sir?
You can find me at www.customsforthekid.blogspot.com. And then in the sidebar, there's links to our content on YouTube, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, Pinterest. It's all there. Yeah, so roll on by, and there's plenty of customs not only for me, but artists from all over the world.
Yeah, you're like the custom curator, I call you. You just you find everybody. Yeah, you find everybody. There's so many great talented customizers, and we will certainly be talking about those people. A lot of people that have made strides in the Clone Wars as well. This is a Clone Wars centric show. So yes, there's tons of customs everywhere, but we're into just showing some Clone Wars stuff and giving some Clone Wars some love, you know. So there you have it, folks. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you again. This is Customizing the Clone Wars. Take care.
May the Force be with you.